if this thing does start to perform, what are some upside objectives? And I'm thinking like into the 2032 cycle peak. I like the idea that this stock will work its way up to $150 a share into that 2032 peak. At 20, $30, could you see this thing go up like what, sixfold over the next 10 years? Yeah, I could see that. Call me crazy, but I think Intel will be up in this $100-$200 area into this next cycle pivot in 2032. These were three names that I liked recently. This is also in sort of the online retailing space, and I think we saw Amazon came out. I don't know whether they came out with news, but they're catching a bit of a bid here today. Actually, interesting. I had noted weekly key reversal. Can everybody see how weekly key reversals work here? So that's pretty bullish signal. And sure enough, up we go. Chung, 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 chung. So this IZEA is basically in the same space. Does this not look like something that I've probably tried to teach you at TRI to try and participate in? Is that the kind of thing that it's just like, yeah, that looks like a very typical Brian kind of idea, coming in at the bottom end of the range. I mean, this is just what I do, folks. I'm not going to shill you. Hey, you got to buy this thing, man. It's good. It's the next SB. I'm not going to shill you. But if you want to join me, all right, well, the invitation's open. You want to wait for this W here to actually confirm and break out? Okay, fine. I mean, that's a weekly price chart. If we go down to the dailies, you can see this has been a hell of a war down here. So I just went and bought the W. It's what I do. There's one. Anyway, it's just sitting there just picking its nose today. I think I told you guys all a while ago that I bought this W on this. There is the trade right there. I bought this W for my registered account on this. You see the blue dot, right? And you see written right up on here. There's a good example. And then the other name that I have on the books that I bought recently was this FULC. Obviously, I've got a little bit of a cushion here. Again, you see there's a big fat W. I like this one because he really is at the bottom end of his trading range. It's pretty tough to get much lower than this. And we had a nice little, A, B, C, D come down into levels, nice little empire reversal and a W. So I went and picked some of this up. I suppose you could argue if we lose these lows, I'll just walk away and take them. Those are some stocks that I'm in. In the room, we're actually, I guess kind of thinking along the lines of that tech stock that I bought. We've been barking for a while about the semiconductors. We didn't talk about this stock trade in particular, but I love this stock. I think that there's a lot of money to be made on Intel going forward. We did actually a really cool comparison. Check this out. I think that Intel, especially if we do things like moving average relationships off the weekly price charts, notice how this 200 SMA on the weekly price chart, I think that's your resistance here. And of course, there's 50% rule. I guess we can change this back to regular. I like that as a rally objective, say into the 25, that November 25 peak. I think that that's actually a realistic move. And as a good sort of comparison historically, last night we took a look at this, and I think this is a good comparison, is we actually looked at Toyota. I don't know whether you remember Toyota, but back in 2015 or so, it went through some serious growing pains. Toyota got into some sort of scandal. I can't remember exactly how it went. But notice it's same sort of thing, that there's the 200 SMA. And I think that Intel is sort of doing this bottoming pattern like Toyota did. And notice there is that 200 SMA. The 200 SMA actually acts as resistance on the way up. And notice like the whole bull market, it was support, 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 resistance, then it acted a little bit of resistance, but then support, then it lost it, then resistance, then support, then lost it, resistance, then support, tried to hold in, all right, tried to hold in, didn't really break too violently below it. Now you can see, I'm not saying that Intel looks like Toyota Motor Company right now, but I definitely think that Intel, it looks very similar to this chart. So I think we're sort of like on Intel, we're like right here right now. And there's 200 SMA. And over the next couple of years, you see that Intel rallies back up and kisses that 200 SMA and that 50% level that I showed you there just a moment ago. So back to our Intel, if we take this same sort of approach and ask, well, maybe what's happening here is some sort of longer time, higher time frame bottom is trying to come in. I actually like the idea, believe it or not, call me crazy, especially with how huge this is. If this is actually a floor, and what probably happens is we rally up into this level, then we pull back, kind of like what I showed you with that Toyota. I mean, maybe it messes around here, and then it starts to really perform. And then, if it can get on the other side of this 200 SMA, then the 200 SMA actually acts support going forward. Just out of curiosity, then, if this thing does start to perform, what are some upside objectives? And I'm thinking like into the 2032 cycle peak. I know it sounds crazy, and obviously you're going to have to stick around for the next 10 years to see it. But basically, I like the idea that this stock will work its way up to $150 a share into that 2032 peak. At 20, $30, could you see this thing go up like what, sixfold over the next 10 years? Yeah, I could see that. And then of course, this is going to be a huge historical breakout, which means we can start thinking like that as well. Call me crazy, but I think Intel will be up in this $100, $200 area into this next cycle pivot in 2032. I don't know whether there's a trade here in the short term, right? If you want to participate, maybe what you want to do is just simply draw reload zones against the bottom. And of course, 78.6s, that's probably an area Brian's going to be interested in. Interesting how that is the original inside bar reversal low there. So that's at what, $26. I don't really mind that as a sort of panic dump into October, maybe even into May, June window here. I don't mind that as a buying window. But what we actually did last night, this is just a commentary on semiconductors. You go listen to Druckenmiller. And Druckenmiller says, well, fucking one of the best investments I ever made was stepping in on NVIDIA. And now he's saying that if China plans to go into Taiwan, the Americans will destroy any of the advanced chip manufacturing equipment facilities, just like that. So he's not too concerned. But he also said, too, that NVIDIA does own a lot of that equipment, and NVIDIA will probably take a hit. But I suppose you could make the argument, you could have seen this double bottom, boom, 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 and said, well, what's a realistic upside objectives? Oh, what a surprise. There's 2.618. Oh, what a surprise. And of course, here comes Brian's favorite fib. So I don't know. I certainly couldn't buy this now. And, like I said, Intel will give you the buying opportunity down in the mid to low 20s. If you did want to participate in NVIDIA, I think I like this gap right here, but I think this gets filled in this fall, right, in like October. So I certainly not in a hurry to do anything there. So where the hell am I going with all of this? Well, the point is, the name that we actually really liked coming out of the meeting last night is this AIP. And you should all look at this chart and go, yeah, that looks like something Brian would be interested in. So this is a really interesting little company. I think there's only a pretty low share count, 33 million shares out. Sex. Brian, he loves that 20 to 30 million shares out, and there's only 18 million shares in the float. That's a little bit concerning, because it means they must have done some financing to raise money. They've got like $2.27 in cash on the books. That's probably from some sort of financing. Those shares at some point should hit the market. But notice, look at the average target price on the street, $13.40. And here we are at $4 or $5. That's right off the charts. That's up here. The interesting thing is you could probably look at this and go, well, what's a Foggenbaum off of that level? So, that's, assuming that this thing is bottomed here. I don't know whether it has or not, but, well, there you go. Notice 2.618 sitting up at 12 and change. Oh, what a surprise. Might be a little bit early. Do you want to let some sort of W form here? It's not a terrible idea. Notice on the daily charts, there is the W. So I don't know whether I really want to come in and buy that there. Notice there was one quick dip yesterday right into moving average support and right against that double bottom breakout level. And I have to say, was that a missed opportunity yesterday? It might have been. But if we can get a pullback down into these lows, notice there's a bit of a gap right there. That gap, really the bottom of this candle here, closes 3.99. So let's call it the better part of $4. If I can sneak my way in, maybe even off of that level, what's that? $3.90 in that window there. I think that's actually not a bad idea at all. So that's definitely something that I definitely want to keep my eye on. And if we do over this May-June swoon, pull back down into these lows, I definitely think I'm going to go pick up a bit of this stock.